There's no shortage of work to do in these fields. Every day, dozens of Palestinian farmers cultivate this land, growing fruit and vegetables. Rafet al-Astal is one of them. He says up until 10 years ago, he never would have believed he'd be able to grow his own crops here. Back then, this was a large Israeli settlement known as Gush Katif. For decades, it was home to more than 8,500 Israelis and a large Israeli military presence. It was also off limits to most Palestinians. All that's left of Gush Katif are a few disused buildings. And while al-Astal says he's happy the settlers and soldiers left as part of Israel's so-called disengagement of the Gaza Strip, he's angry at how things are now.
We live in a big prison. We cannot move outside the Gaza Strip, which makes life hell for us. The occupation is the reason for all of our suffering, as the Israelis control everything. We Palestinians deserve dignity.
Although Israelis withdrew from the Gaza Strip, Israel's government never managed to truly disengage. Without a political settlement with the Palestinians, it exerted its control over Gaza and its people through its ongoing economic siege and repeated rounds of military violence. The so-called disengagement of Gaza sharply divided Israeli society at the time. When the deadline to leave expired on August 15, 2005, the remaining settlers were removed by force. Laurence Beziz was one of them. Originally from France, she lived in Gush Katif for nearly 20 years for what she describes as ideological reasons. She says many of the Israeli settlers who were forced to leave still haven't been able to rebuild their lives.
I'm angry at my government who didn't know how to cope with the hardships of the people, and still people are living here in temporary Caraville house 10 years after.
That anger is overshadowed by what followed the so-called Gaza disengagement. After Israel pulled out, Hamas won a landslide victory in the 2006 general election and violently seized power shortly afterwards. Since then, Hamas has fought 3 major wars with Israel, which killed several thousand Palestinians. The Israeli government's continuing blockade has also crippled Gaza's economy, making reconstruction almost impossible. And while most Palestinians say they aren't sure how much more suffering they can endure, they say they're still happy the settlers are gone. Imtiaz Taib, Al Jazeera, Gaza.